Hello everyone, welcome to this Service Point training video. A lot of your agencies provide support to clients through a variety of services. This video presents a recommended method for transacting multiple services per single individual or household. We'll specifically be performing the transaction through one common record, typically the head of household. Let's see the process step by step. To facilitate a smooth process once we start the transactions, we recommend a quick pre-flight check to make sure everything you need is in place. If ROIs are part of your workflow, they should be completed beforehand. Services for 2 or more people require a household. Confirm that there is one household that includes all of the applicable members for you to select later. Please be aware that when doing services, you will only be able to select members from the same household bucket. Identify the head of household of the recipients or the single recipient, and then group the services by program. Here's an example on the right. Feel free to reach out to your agency admin if you have questions about the programs applicable to your agency. In a general workflow, the minimum elements you need to know are the service provider, the service dates, and the type of services that were performed. We'll cover more about these shortly. In the head of households record, there are potentially 3 access points to add multiple services. The first one, and the quickest to get to, is on your Summary tab. The other 2 locations are in the Service Transaction tab, where your first view is this dashboard. You may see a different number of items. Among them, you'll see a big button to add multiple services. Lastly, if you're already inside the Services module, which you can get to via View Entire Service History, head over to the Services tab, and you'll find the third Add Multiple Services button. Click any of these 3 and it will send you to the exact same place. On the Multiple Services page, we recommend a top-to-bottom approach to cover all the items in order. The training site is a great place to test things out and get some extra practice. Please note, though, that because of the customizable nature of the Services module, your service page may include other workflow items outside of the scope of this general video. We'll cover the service transaction in 8 steps. Step 1. Select the applicable household members associated with the services. In that section, Service Point states a message that you can only select members from the same household. We took care of that in our pre-flight check, but in case it was missed, cancel the service, adjust the household, and then start the transaction again. After selecting your household members, step 2 is to select the service provider. Depending on how many providers you have access to, you may see a search button or a drop-down menu. The service provider you select will determine the rest of your service transaction. Choose carefully. One way to think of it is like a filing cabinet. Each program has its own special drawer in the cabinet, with folders and contents arranged in a certain way. You can only open one drawer at a time, and when you do, you get the service types and settings that are specific to that service provider. Search for your provider by keyword or ID and click the plus sign icon to add. You can change the provider by searching again. A very important thing, the service page will refresh every time you select a different provider. That means if you've entered anything after this point, the values will reset or clear. Please be sure you have the right provider before continuing. Okay, next we'll fill in more details about the service. How many, when, and what type of service. In step 3, confirm that the number of services is set to 1. Step 4, enter the appropriate start and end date for the service. The default is today's date. For easy entry, type 2 digits for the day, 2 digits for the month, and 4 for the year. For example, February 1st, 2018 would be 02/01/2018. There is no need to hit Tab when entering dates. In Step 5, select your service type using the pencil icon or drop-down menu, depending on your provider. Clicking the pencil icon will open a window to select your service type. Once you've selected your service type, hit Submit to return to the main page. The list of available service types will be based on the service provider selected earlier. Step 6 is a placeholder for any additional agency or program-specific elements. Follow your agency's workflow and feel free to ask for help. After you're done with the first service, for Step 7, scroll to the bottom and click Add Another. Repeat Steps 3 to 6 for the next service. That's starting from number of services equals 1, followed by start and end dates, service type, and any additional elements. Keep adding another until all the services under the same provider are entered. Lastly, Step 8, save and exit to complete your multiple services transaction. Nice work! After finishing the first batch of services, your view should look similar to this. In the example, we've just completed the services under Program A, a deposit and a rent payment for 1 month. If you notice anything that needs editing, click the pencil to make any adjustments. Although we recommend add multiple services as the easiest method, certain elements like service staff and service notes do not display in that view. We can only see them by editing the service or by selecting Add Service as opposed to Add Multiple Services. If we click the pencil icon for the service we've just created, there's Service Staff, which would be who performed the service, and Service Notes, an open text field to record any extra details. Refer to your agency's workflow to determine what additional information you should record. We completed the services for Program A for our example client. Next, we'll repeat the same steps to enter the services under Program B, and for the next program, and so on, until we finish all the services for this client or household. Here's the final view after we've transacted all 6 services for our example client. You can see each of these service types for Program A, Program B, and Program C. Congratulations, you've made it to the end of this training. Here are some final notes to solidify what we've just covered. There are 3 potential places to add multiple services: the Summary tab, the Service Transaction Dashboard, and the Services tab. Create or adjust the household before you start your services transaction because joint services can only be applied to members from the same household bucket. Since you transact the services by service provider, you can save yourself some time by grouping the services before you start. Finally, remember that selecting a different service provider will cause the page to refresh. To avoid losing work, be sure to select the correct provider first before filling in more details. After you've saved, you can edit the provider through the pencil icon. Here are the 8 steps we covered summarized in the green box. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your local administrator. Happy data entries until next time!